Welcome to today's explainer, why your raise never actually makes you richer. Now picture this, you've been working your tail off, late nights, extra projects, the whole shebang. Finally, your boss calls you in and gives you that raise you've been fighting for. You are absolutely thrilled, right? You're doing the mental math, thinking, okay, finally, the financial stress is over. But here is the really frustrating reality. Somehow, despite that bigger paycheck, you still end up feeling completely stuck. So it brings up this painful question, got a raise, but somehow still broke 6 months later? Look, if you are not in your head right now, I want to validate that right out of the gate. It is a very shared experience. And more importantly, as we're going to see today, this isn't just bad luck. It's definitely not a personal failing on your part. It is actually an inescapable law of how money and human psychology interacts. And once you see this law in action, I promise, you literally will not be able to unsee it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and look at a massive truth by comparing two totally different people. On one side, we have a broke doctor making $200,000 a year. On the other, a broke worker making $40,000. Now, how is that even mathematically possible? Well, feeling broke isn't actually an income issue, it's systemic. High earners suffer from the exact same underlying financial stress as lower earners, all because of this hidden mechanism operating in the background. Honestly, it doesn't matter how many zeros are on your paycheck if you don't understand what's driving this. And that brings us to Parkinson's law of money, the rule that expenses always rise to match income unless actively fought. Notice that it doesn't say this happens sometimes. The source material is super clear here. This happens almost every single time. Whenever you get a bigger paycheck, your expenses are naturally going to stretch and expand to consume every last dollar of that raise. To see exactly how this silent trap catches us, let's look at a totally relatable scenario. Imagine a worker starting with a base salary of $40,000. This is our starting point. Now, when you're making 40 grand, you kind of have to be hyper conscious of your money, right? Your financial boundaries are firmly set by that paycheck. At this income, you establish what we're going to call a modest baseline. You drive an older, reliable car that's probably paid off. You share an apartment with a roommate to split the rent. And cooking at home is just what you do. A fancy dinner probably means throwing a cracked egg into your ramen. Sure, you might grab takeout as a rare treat, but the daily routine is modest, it's functional, and honestly, it works perfectly well. But then, the big day finally comes. You get a massive promotion. Boom. Instantly, your salary gets bumped up to $70,000. That is a $30,000 leap in income. I mean, in your head, you're practically rich now. The math is done, and you're already spending that leftover cash in your mind before it even hits your bank account. But here is exactly where Parkinson's law silently takes the wheel. Let's look at this comparison. Suddenly, that perfectly fine older car? Yeah, it feels a little too old, so you upgrade. That shared apartment? You easily convince yourself you've totally outgrown roommates, so you get a nicer place. And cooking at home gets quickly replaced by delivery apps, and suddenly eating out becomes your new normal instead of a rare treat. Parkinson's law just quietly upgrades your definition of a need across the entire board. And here is the really dangerous part about all this. In the moment, you are just thinking, hey, I earned this. I can afford it now. When you sign that expensive lease, it doesn't feel reckless at all. In fact, these upgrades feel entirely logical. They're just so easily justified as well-deserved rewards for your late nights and hard work. I mean, you tell yourself the whole point of getting the promotion was to improve your quality of life, right? But stack all those little well-deserved rewards together, and the result is honestly kind of shocking. The entire $30,000 raise just quietly vanishes. Poof! You don't actually have any extra money left over at the end of the month. Instead, all that new money simply went into funding a slightly nicer version of the exact same financial stress you had before. You still have bills, you still sweat the end of the month, you're just doing it from a nicer apartment with a newer car. Now, if this is hitting close to home, take a deep breath, because I really need you to hear this point. This is not a willpower problem. It's really not. You aren't fundamentally bad with money, and you aren't greedy. The sources are very clear that trying to brute force your way out of this with pure willpower is a complete losing game. Think of it this way. Your spending recalibrates the exact same way your eyes adjust to a dim room. When you walk from bright sunshine into a dark movie theater, you don't consciously tell your pupils to dilate, right? Your brain just does it automatically. It is exactly the same with money. It is just your brain doing what it's designed to do, automatically adjusting to a new environment without you consciously choosing to engage in lifestyle creep. It's happening silently in the background of literally every purchase decision you make. And this brings us to what's called the invisible baseline. Because your brain automatically recalibrates, the baseline of what feels normal to spend shifts upward. This invisible shifting baseline is the exact reason why some of the highest earners in the entire world, the doctors, the lawyers, executives making hundreds of thousands of dollars, are still living paycheck to paycheck. Their income skyrocketed, sure, but that invisible baseline of what feels totally standard to spend, it chased right after it. So, how do we actually break this cycle without, living like a monk? The fix isn't to be miserable and never enjoy a raise. That's no fun. Instead, we have to design around the law. Don't fight it. We need a structural fix that outsmarts our own biology, allowing us to build wealth while still enjoying the fruits of our labor, rather than fruitlessly fighting our brain's natural tendencies.
So here is the exact structural fix. Step 1, your income goes up. Step 2, you immediately redirect a fixed percentage before you even see it. The absolute secret sauce here is doing this before that new money ever has a chance to hit your regular checking account. If you never actually see it sitting there as available funds, your brain's invisible baseline just won't recalibrate to include it. The easiest way to pull this off is the 50-50 split. You take exactly half of that newly increased income and route it straight to savings or investments, completely bypassing your checking account. Then, you allow the remaining 50% of your raise to hit your checking account, and you let your lifestyle creep up on that half, completely guilt-free. Seriously. Go upgrade your car, get the nicer apartment, order the takeout. Using this simple split means Parkinson's law is now working for you. The law still applies. Your expenses are still going to rise to match the money in your checking account, but you have successfully engineered it to build your wealth instead of quietly draining it. You aren't fighting human nature anymore. You're tricking it into securing your financial future. You get a better quality of life today, and you drastically improve your wealth for tomorrow. It's a total win-win. Which leaves me with a final provocative thought for all of you, because it's one thing to know the math, but it's a whole other thing to break the psychological habit. Think about your last raise. Did it actually make you richer, or did it just give you nicer problems? Has this happened to you? Got a raise but still felt absolutely broke a year later? I really want to know, so let me know in the comments how common this one-year post-raise broke feeling really is for you. And hey, make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss next week's Explainer, where we're going to dive into why otherwise incredibly smart people still make completely broke financial decisions. You will not want to miss that one. See you then.